Hello, this is Steve. I'm an English teacher and I make some videos on YouTube of my classes that I'm teaching in school and for private Cambridge classes. Today we are going to do a lot of use of English based on the idea of getting tattoos, which is a topic I've mentioned before after watching the Kurzgesagt video, and I just find it interesting anyway. So we've got lots of use of English coming up. This is the lesson starter that I put on the board as a little speaking activity. So have a think, would you hire this man? Oh, interesting, controversial, and you can discuss this if you want. Would you hire this man for a bank? This qualified, experienced man? And a lot of people said no, which is unfair, isn't it? That's discrimination. But anyway, that's the point of talking about this a little bit, to get people thinking about the topic of tattoos and discrimination and what they mean. Now let's get on to our use of English, which is what we all want. I've got some B2, C1 level, some questions B2, some C1, use of English questions, starting with this, which is a text about the history of tattoos. Let's start with the history of tattoos. What I would recommend you do is pause the video and try and answer all the questions. For part one, what do you need to do? You need to think of collocations, as in words that go together, the context of the sentence, as in this word fits because the sentence is about this, and vocabulary, as in this is the right word for this, either expression, meaning, goes together like a collocation, this kind of thing. You should have paused the video by now. You're just pressing the space bar, and then written your answers 1 to 8, A to D. Keep a record, as I always say in lots of my videos, keep a record of ones you're getting right, ones you're getting wrong, noting down typical expressions. I make these texts thinking of typical B2C1 expressions, so these are the ones you need to learn. And here come the answers. Number one, the answer is A. Talking about typical Cambridge expression, dating back. Oh man, I've seen this on many exams. When we're talking about the history of things, it dates back this many years, or it dates back to this year, and so on. Number two, what are tattoos? They are symbols. That's just a vocab question. The other words you can't really describe tattoos as notices, logos, or souvenirs, in this context at least. Number three, they were used for what? If we're talking about why something is used, we're talking about the purposes. I mean, uses fits, but you don't use something for uses. That's just bad writing, isn't it? So it's not going to be A. Number four, what goes with the deep cultural significance? Well, you hold cultural significance, it holds significance, so it held it. Number five, this is an expression, a rite of passage. A rite of passage, as in when you become an adult, when you become married, and so on. These are rites of passages, rituals, milestones in life. And number six, a social status within your, well, if we're talking about social status, this is your community. Number seven, we are talking about the designs which would reflect where you traveled. The other words don't really fit, meaning showing, reflecting. And number eight, the key word is into. A and B both go with into, but you can't really descend into a form of self-expression. This is evolving into this. This is how they've changed, they've evolved. Part two, the little grammatical word that fits best about why people get tattoos. Pause the video, think of the words like in, on, at, as I always tell my students. How do you do it? Read the sentence carefully, same as part one. Here come the answers. Number one, for reasons. Why? For this reason. Number two, others, the clue isn't until the next sentence. Others use tattoos. Well, if it's want to do this and others want to do this, it's some. Some do this, others do this. Why do we use tattoos? This is who you are. We are talking about deep meaning, right? What you believe in, who you are. It has to be who. You can't say how. You don't have a tattoo that says, I'm fine, thanks. How they are doesn't work, does it? Symbols or quotes, that or which mean a lot to them. Another relative pronoun. You don't normally have two on one exam, to be honest. Maybe sometimes, but they are so important, they're always on the exam. Symbols or quotes are things. It must be that or which. Tattoos can also make people feel strong. You make someone feel something. You make someone do something. With the fact that we didn't have to here and the fact that it's a feeling, you make someone do something. Number six, I'm just going to change this because it's a bit easy, but you are in control. I was going to make it own because I've seen that on some C1 exams, but in the end I just left it. You're in control of your own body and your own story. Very important in life. They're a way for people to express themselves. It's a way to do something. With way, it's a way to do it. And each tattoo has, this one's a good C1 question, or even B2, you've seen it on B2. A tattoo is a thing. So what's the possessive pronoun for a thing? Its own meaning. There we go, that's part 2 again. Give yourself a score out of 8. Write down the answer and the explanation if you got any wrong. And here comes part 3. It's about how tattoos are viewed badly, which I have already done on this channel, and you can maybe guess my opinion. But pause the video, and we're going to go through the answers in a minute. You know what part 3 is, right? You need to change the word so that it fits the gap. The word corresponds to the gap. 7 and 8 are in order. And here come the answers. Number 1, very easy. This is B2. This is too easy for C1. But as I said, a mix of questions. Society. Society is the thing. Social is an adjective. Why are they looked down on? They're unprofessional. Clue was they're looked down upon. Then they must be unprofessional. Number 3, associated with. Fairly easy one. Number 4 is more difficult. The clue here is, what do religions do with tattoos if it goes against the religion? Well, they discourage tattoos, don't they? They say, no, don't get them. They discourage it. From courage, we have encourage, encouragement, and discourage. Number 5, against what? We need the thing for a believe, which is a belief, but we must be plural because there's no article, so it's beliefs. Number 6, starting a sentence with a comma, that is going to be your linking word as an adverb, additionally. And number 7 and 8, these are very easy. I'm expecting everyone to get these. Criminal gangs and illegal activities, 2 fairly easy adjectives to make for part 3. But you should have a score out of 8. You should definitely be getting 5 out of 8 if you want to do a B2 exam, and probably be getting 7 or 8 to do the C1 exam. Let's finish with part 4, although we're not really finishing, so I've got a little treat at the end. Part 4, complete the sentence. 3 to 5 words. I think these are all only 5 words long in the answer, because I think I got most of them from a B2 book. Use the word, don't change the word, keep the sentence the same. Pause the video, do it yourself. Here come the answers. If it seemed like a waste of time, then he couldn't see the point in or of getting. You see the point in or of doing something. Again, ing, so common in part 4. How do we use rather for something that you would prefer not to do? You would rather not do it, with no to, and with the infinitive without to. I'm sure he was happy. He must have been happy. Fairly easy one, no? But a common trick, again, is the deductions about the past. He could have been happy. He might have been happy. He can't have been happy. He must have been happy. Everyone says it's a good idea. Getting a tattoo is said to be. Typical passive sentence for B2. An if only sentence. She regretted it, so she did it. But then she's sad about it. If only I hadn't got or gotten, if you're American. If only I had not got or gotten. And the last one, she doesn't intend to do it. She has no intention of doing it. She has no intention of getting. Of, preposition, ing. The expression is to have no intention of doing something. So you have a total out of 12 there, and you'll have a total out of 36, and you need 21 to pass B2. And like I normally say, probably a bit more to pass C1, maybe 27. 27 out of 36, 75%, maybe even a little bit more, maybe like 80%. So 29 out of 36, around there. Right, what we got to finish? Some speaking, isn't that fun? Here's your B2 exam. Here are some photos that show different people's tattoos. I'd like you to compare the photos and say why people might get these tattoos. You have 1 minute to speak. How do you do the speaking exam? Well, you answer the question. As I've said in my speaking videos, you focus on the question for B2 and C1. Don't look at the funny pictures. They are just to give you an idea. The main point is answering the question. So why would someone get a tattoo of their dog? And you can talk about, is it a dog? Is it a wolf? No, is it a cat? Unclear. You can talk about the emotional connection to pets. You can talk about the meaning that it has to them. And the same for this, maybe talk about their job or their passion for food or their love of Japanese culture, if that's ramen and chopsticks and so on. So a bit of vocab, but mainly answering the question. Then comparing, well, we could say, on the one hand, this is more sentimental, this is more professional. On the one hand, this is very badly designed, whereas this is more done by an expert, and so on and so on. Now person B. Person A, you've answered that. Person B, they show body modifications. I'd like you to compare the photos and say how these body modifications might be seen by society. You have 1 minute to talk. And what would you say? You might say typical things about, oh, a tattoo on your arm is visible, so people might look down on it, as we saw in the vocab. In some jobs, maybe in a bank or as a teacher, this could be frowned upon because it denotes certain associations that some people don't like because they think it's not professional. However, it's more accepted in society nowadays, and so on. Similarly, a piercing could be seen as unprofessional in some circumstances. However, it's also widely accepted, like why can we pierce our ears but not our nose? These kind of ideas. And you compare them again, there's similarities, differences, and so on. To finish, speaking part 3, here are some different ways of changing how you look. I'd like you to talk together about how effective these disguises are if you had to run away and start a new life with a new identity. I've made it a bit of a fun one, but it's this, well, the teacher saying it's fun. It's the same idea. You have to say, well, getting lots of tattoos would be quite effective because people would not recognize you and be so scared looking at the tattoos that they wouldn't look at who you are. The strange clothes, the nose piercing, the cool modern haircut, the dyed hair, and all these ideas about how they are effective in changing how you look. Bit of a tough question that, but talk together about it like you normally do. And to finish, now my special treat that I mentioned, we're back to meeting this handsome young man again, and it's use of English part 3. Were you paying attention at the start? Do you know what goes in these blanks for use of English part 3? You're a bank manager. You need to find a for one of your the man has relevant and experience. The answers, of course, you're a successful bank manager, successful. You need to find a replacement from replace. For one of your, well, you're the manager, you are finding a new employee, one of your employees, plural, and this man has relevant qualifications, plural again, because there's no article there. So there we go, that's my lesson on tattoos. I hope it was useful. I hope you've learned something, noted it down, and done a bit more of your B2C1 use of English practice. Thank you, goodbye.